the town musicians of Bremen. There once was a donkey whose job was to pull heavy carts and carry heavy sacks for his master. He had been doing this job for many years and now was becoming old and slow. He knew that sooner or later his master would want to get a new donkey. So one day when his master was fast asleep, he took the chance to escape. With a skip and a gallop, he was off. I shall make my way to the town of Bremen, he said to himself. With my tuneful braying, I could be a musician. On his journey, the donkey met a hunting dog who was panting like he had run for miles. "Why are you so tired?" the donkey asked. "I'm running away from home because my master wanted to get rid of me," gasped the dog. "I'm too old to hunt anymore, but how will I survive on my own?" "Well," said the donkey, "you may be too old to hunt, but I bet you can still bark. Why don't you come and be a musician in Bremen with me?" The dog said yes, and they set off together. Further along the road, they found a miserable-looking cat. "What's the matter?" the donkey asked. "I'm getting too old. My 9 lives are nearly up," replied the cat. "My owner threw me out because I prefer purring by the fire to chasing mice. But where can I go?" "Well," said the donkey, "you may not be good at catching mice anymore, but I bet your purring is gentle and tuneful. Why don't you come and be a musician in Bremen with us?" The cat said yes, and they set off together. They soon heard a rooster crowing as loudly as he could. "What's all this noise about?" the donkey asked. "The farmer doesn't need me to wake her up with my crowing anymore," cried the rooster, "so I'm crowing at the top of my lungs while I still have the chance." "Well," said the donkey, "if you can't stay here and crow, come to Bremen with us. With that singing voice, you could be a musician too." The rooster said yes, and they set off together. As evening came, the 4 travelers walked into a dense forest and wondered whether to spend the night sheltering by a tree. The donkey and the dog lay down beneath it, the cat climbed onto a low branch, and the rooster flew higher up. Then the rooster spotted a little light twinkling in the distance. "That could be a cabin," he called. "It might be warm," said the cat. "There might be food," said the dog. So they headed towards the twinkling light and soon arrived at an old cabin. As the donkey was the tallest, he peered in through the glowing window. "What can you see?" asked the rooster. "I see a band of robbers eating a delicious feast," said the donkey. "How can we get some of that food?" whined the dog. "Let's work together," said the rooster. So the donkey stood up on his hind legs and leaned on the windowsill. The dog climbed onto the donkey's back. The cat balanced on top of the dog, and the rooster perched on the cat's head. Then they all started to sing. The donkey brayed, "Hee-haw!" The dog barked, "Woof, woof, woof!" The cat purred, and the rooster crowed, "Ur-ur!" They leaned so heavily against the window that it broke, and they came tumbling into the room. The robbers, hearing the terrible noise, looked up to see something huge at the window and thought that a monster was bursting into the cabin. They jumped to their feet and ran into the forest. The four musicians hungrily devoured the feast until they could eat no more. Then they lay down to sleep. The donkey on some hay, the dog by the door, the cat by the fire, and the rooster on a high beam. But the robbers were watching. "The light has gone out," said the oldest. He turned to the youngest. "Go and see what's in there," he ordered. Quietly, the young robber stepped inside the dark cabin. He crept forward and tripped over the dog, who leapt up and bit him. Then he stumbled forward into the cat, who jumped at his face, hissing and scratching. As he dashed by the door, the donkey gave him a big kick, and as he ran from the house, the rooster crowed his loudest ever, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" The young robber scurried back to his friends. "Inside the cabin," he panted, "there's a man by the door who stabbed me with a knife, and a terrible witch who scratched me with her pointed nails. Then a giant struck me with his club, and up in the roof someone cried, 'Catch the robber-doo!' And I got out as fast as my legs would carry me." Hearing this, the robbers ran away from the cabin forever. The four musicians of Bremen never went on to Bremen. Instead, they lived happily in the cabin in the forest for years and years. The end.